Hello, Ina. Welcome.
Hi.
And how the tables have turned because you've interviewed me twice. So now I get to be in the driver's seat. Thank
I
you
love
for.
that.
So, for anyone who doesn't know you, how would you describe what you do?
I don't even know where to start when I describe what I do. I guess we could start with a perpetual serial entrepreneur
Mhm.
and go from there. Can lead the conversation and let me know what you think your audience would really like to hear. I'm full of tricks and entrepreneurial journeys in many directions. Really happy to discuss and share.
Well, you've built this world around yoga and travel and lifestyle. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
You just reopened a new yoga studio?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just recently opened a new yoga studio in Shoreham, New York, which is super exciting. And every time I open a yoga studio, I think it's going to be easier because I've done it so many times. It's my number four brick and mortar business that I've opened in the wellness industry. And I forget how much work it actually is. And
Mhm.
then, weeks in, and I'm like, why am I so exhausted? And I realized that I just opened a brand new business. And,
Mhm.
as easier it might seem when you're doing so many of these things over the years, it's still, a new journey, new venture, a new entrepreneurial chapter.
Yeah.
But long story short, I had a really bad landlord in my previous yoga studio. And it's been my mission for the last few years to find a new location that could preserve the community that I built and not move too far from the original location. I've seen so many different locations and I've gone through so many different negotiations and, meetings with landlords and brokers and you name it, and nothing really felt aligned until recently. And a few months ago, I finally found the location that you can call a dream location that was close enough to preserve the community that I built. And, fast forward, I've been there now for 2 months. So 2 months ago, the switch had happened and I
Congratulations.
closed. Thank you. I closed the old one and we made the move in 2 days, and it was a big, big move.
And you wonder why you're tired.
Yeah.
Just to touch on what you said about opening, even though you've done it before, I know that there's a bit of naivete when you're doing something for the first time. So, like, you don't know what to expect. But when you know what to expect, I feel like it becomes a little more challenging because you see all the things that can go right and all the things that can go wrong. So, there's some of that too.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And like as much as you can think that you can predict the way things can go, every business has its own little quirks and in unpredictabilities, and it's its own beast its entirety. And regardless of what how many times you've done it before, it still is like a pretty challenging
Yeah,
journey.
I bet. Yeah. But you're enjoying it still, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think I can be a non-entrepreneur person. I've always had a job alongside with entrepreneurship just because I like to diversify my income in many ways, as you know, which is why I am a serial entrepreneur because I don't really
Mhm.
do one thing. I do many things and I really like the diversification of my growth. And, you know, I don't think I could just have a job and not have a business at the same time. That's just not
Yeah.
me.
No, you've created a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So, could we go back to where you grew up and then
Mm.
what led you here?
Oh boy, do we have 7.5 hours?
Therapy today, you know?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in a post-Soviet Union. I was born in Soviet Union, the east side of Germany, and then moved to Belarus and grew up between various Soviet Union countries after the country fell apart. So, for those of you who know history, that comes with poverty, hunger. That's why I asked if we have 7.5 hours because,
All the things, all the
it's
things.
a very challenging upbringing, very challenging times historically and, for society. And then, growing up, I've always kind of wanted to be a fashion designer. When opportunity presented itself, I was 18. I moved to United States to be a fashion designer, and that was my first career. I went to school to be a fashion designer and worked in the
And
city.
so it begins for the person listening.
Yeah,
Ina has quite the journey of
yeah,
entrepreneurship.
yeah. So, from fashion industry, had a job in the city and commuted to school at the same time and also waited tables so I can have a steady income to put myself through school and an internship. And then I started my own clothing line at the same time as I had all those things happening. So I think the first real taste of entrepreneurship was my own clothing brand that I started for special occasions that I was doing. And then something along the lines of fashion industry really didn't sit right with me because it was the opposite of wellness. The industry was very toxic and very highly evolved around drugs, and that wasn't really for me. And so I just really wanted to find something that I felt aligned with, where I felt that my purpose was also delivering something of a wellness value to people.
Mhm.
And right around the same time, I got pretty sick myself, and yoga was the only thing that was really helping me to feel better. And that's how I opened my first yoga studio. And then, fast forward to now, I guide international retreats around the world. And I just had one of the most successful ones recently.
Wow.
I took a group of 15 people to Morocco, and we had an incredible week there, just all the things that kind of grew out of that.
Yeah, the Morocco retreat looked amazing. But all your retreats do. I follow along on social media and everything's amazing. So, what was your expectation, you think, when you started the fashion business as opposed to like what it ended up being once you were in it? Like, what was your vision when
Mm.
you started?
Uh, I was in a very niche industry in fashion. It was all special occasion wedding kind of industry. So, not just wedding dresses per se, but also mother of the bride, bridesmaids, all that kind of stuff. So, like a really high end, tailored,
Like,
couture,
yeah,
special occasion industry.
custom, yeah.
Yeah, and my expectation, I grew up watching, not grew up, but the last few years of my life in Eastern Europe, I was watching Sex and the City, and I was just imagining all these things, Vogue and
Hmm.
New York and how beautiful it is and how incredibly you can grow in an aesthetically pleasing industry and deliver beauty and aesthetics, and it just really wasn't what I imagined it to be. I was working all of these hours making no income. Fashion industry is notorious for free labor, and once I learned that, it was like there's no way I'm going to pour my talent into an industry that literally values and
Hmm.
pushes slave labor, and that's
Yeah.
not fair for young designers. And there was a lot more going on in the industry at the time besides the drugs, obviously, but
Hmm.
the health and wellness of the models was really always worrisome for me. How bulimia and anorexia were just
Yeah.
applauded rather than treated as a mental condition, and it just wasn't really for me. It was really toxic. I'm
Hmm.
an empath, and I can't be in environments like that.
So, how old were you at that time?
And I moved here when I was 18, and so I started my fashion career at 19, and then 20 is when I
Yeah.
really was in New York City and doing all the things. Yeah. Yeah.
I give you a lot of credit because it's such a tender age. It's not always like not everyone sees the difference and moves towards something better and healthier. So I give you a lot of credit for that. And
Thank you.
you're welcome. This is a gifting community, so I have to bring up this story because I think the story is hilarious. Could you talk about the gift that you once told me you received from your parents when you were growing up? There was a specific gift that they gave you or they would always give you, and then your sister would get something else for
Oh
Christmas?
my god, that's so funny.
Yes.
Yeah. So, is this About the dollhouse or the actual Barbies?
Well, you said she would get the Barbies and
Yes.
you
Okay.
would
No,
get
I have lots of stories about my
You do?
childhood, but
Alright, so let's
yeah,
hear them.
I think I could start a podcast, but, yeah, my parents thought that the best gift you can give to a child I grew up very poor. So, my parents worked hard so they can give us gifts for holidays. And the one gift I always received every holiday was an encyclopedia. They always thought that if I'm smart and, I can make something of myself, I can be successful, I can achieve things in life. So every year I'd get an encyclopedia for Christmas. And oh my God, how many encyclopedias can one person have? It just
Yeah.
really never, ever resonated with me because it's not what I wanted to receive. And then, my sister, on the other hand, would receive a cute little Barbie with some outfits for it. And I would just always be so envious, be like, why is she getting a Barbie? Well, I'm getting an encyclopedia about the cosmos or, the species
Mhm.
of African animal or whatever. But I think in the long term, obviously, it made me a nerd that I am today. And I
Mhm.
liked learning things. And I
Nerds are
like,
cool.
yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
I've always been really good with studying, and I have now achieved an MBA with honors and all the things. So I
That
definitely
you
am.
Yeah, it worked out for you. Do you think it's something that they saw in you that they were nurturing, or do you think like these books, these gifts, like lit a fire in you for knowledge? And I mean, you love to travel.
Yes.
You're always traveling. So like, do you think it's like through those books, even though at that age you don't want encyclopedias, it kind of sparked that interest? Maybe?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I really hope that my parents had an intention behind the book because I
Yeah.
really did not like those gifts. Yeah. I'm sure they had good intentions with the encyclopedias because, if you develop your child's curiosity for the world and they grew up a certain way. So,
Yeah.
yeah, as an adult, I can appreciate that. And I do have rather extensive book collection as an adult as well.
When do you find the time to read, Ina?
I actually don't. I listen to audiobooks. So I
Oh,
have two things going simultaneously. I have a large book collection that I'm collecting for the retirement age that I can actually just sit and read.
mm,
And I listen to audiobooks. So if I really want to read a book, I'll buy a hard copy and I'll get an audiobook. So when I'm
mhm.
driving from one meeting to another, I listen to an audiobook.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So do you have another retreat planned? What's
Oh,
happening with the
yeah.
retreats? Where are
Yeah.
we going next?
So I grew my retreat business this year. My goal for 2026 was to quadruple the retreat business, and we're so far on course for that. So my next retreat actually is happening next weekend, which is May 1st to 3rd, and it's a 3-day getaway to the North Fork of Long Island.
Okay.
So this is a very unusual retreat for me. You don't actually have to get on a plane for it. And,
I
most
was
of my
gonna say,
retreats
like
are
your first local one.
second, actually. I did it in the fall last year as well, and it was great. I really love the location. It's on the water. It's on the bay side of the North Fork. It's in South Hold. It's very calm and serene. And the room that we have for all of the journaling and all the workshops that I do overlooks the water. So it's just absolutely serene and it's beautiful. I do a lot of growth and self-reflecting kind of workshops on this retreat. So we don't go, 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 go from places. This one is more of like a stay put and center and ground. And, we have sound bath planned. I will teach yoga and Pilates and journaling workshops. And what else do we have? Breath work. So, and just so happen this retreat will feature a full moon, which is very rare to happen on the retreat. Yeah.
Uh,
So that weekend you'll have a
what about the
flower
plans
moon.
around that? Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
So it's
so
a
cool.
It's gonna be a very special retreat. And as far as international retreats, I have Costa Rica coming up, which is my absolute favorite destination, as all of you
Mhm.
know. All of
Yes.
my friends know Costa Rica is where my heart is at, and
Mhm.
that one is in October. I'm really excited about that.
Well, I just did earlier this year the Jess retreat in Costa Rica, and it's the first time I've been, and I've always wanted to go. So it's beautiful, and I do actually think that that trip, just being in that Costa Rica air, really expanded something for me.
Yeah.
And I just came back feeling so I mean, I don't know if you can necessarily say you come back feeling rested because, like,
Mhm.
there's so much to do, but I just really came back feeling so enlightened
Yeah.
and definitely need to go back. There's something
Yeah.
about Costa Rica. I know exactly the magic that you're talking about.
Yeah.
What do you think, like, people get the most out of these retreats, like your retreats that you plan? What feedback do you get?
Um, Connection is the
Mm,
one thing that comes to mind. I think people feel disconnected a lot,
yeah.
and I think the retreats that I host are really focused around finding the connection, not just to other people, but to themselves. And I think that's my literal life's mission is provide spaces
Mhm.
and experiences for people to find that connection, whether it's to themselves or to others. And I think
Mhm.
I have been succeeding because that's literally the biggest feedback I get from the retreats is that, you can teach all kinds of workshops, you can teach all kinds of yoga classes, you can teach Pilates, you can teach whatever. And people will not remember any of it,
Mhm.
but they will remember how you made them feel while they were there with you. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I have so many customers that are repeated customers because of how they feel when they come on retreats with me. And the feeling is something that you cannot replicate, copy, or buy.
Yeah.
It's something that's just there. It's either
Yeah.
there or not.
Yeah, I agree. So could you walk us through how the yoga and movement and everything, how, like, what a typical retreat is like in terms of the connection aspect?
Mm.
Like, how does the body tie in to the mind and all of this? And like, what really facilitates that connection, do you think?
I think it's really more about the energy that I create on these retreats. And it's really difficult to explain. You kind of have to be there to feel it, if you
It's
know
an
what I
experience.
mean. Yeah. So you have to like experience it. You know, I teach a vinyasa class. Majority of my classes are vinyasa yoga based, and I create a flow that welcomes people that have never done a yoga class before, and it welcomes a very seasoned practitioner at the same time in the same class, and it makes both of these groups feel
Mhm.
welcome in their own body and then in that space, right? And it's very difficult to do actually if you teach any of the physical practice, any of the physical movement, is to achieve that comfort for both people who have been doing something for a long time and people who have never done it before.
Mhm.
That intimidation kind of goes away. And I don't know if that's something that I just naturally am good at or something that comes with experience and practice because I've been teaching for a long time.
Yeah.
But I get that feedback quite a lot that people feel very comfortable. Like I have, let's say, a lot of people want to go on a retreat solo, and that's pretty much my majority of the clients are. But sometimes I'll get a couple on the retreat, and my customer would come on the retreat and bring their husband,
Mhm.
and the husband would be like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do any yoga. I'm fine. I don't need any of that." The first day they'll be like, "All right, whatever." Second day they'll be like,
Curious.
"What are they doing over there?" On the third day, you see them bending and stretching and breathing and huffing and puffing. And the last day, they're like, my God, you've changed my
Now they're
life.
hooked. Now they're hooked.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I have couple stories, for example, one couple, that exact scenario happened. And now it's been 2 years since the retreat they've come on with me. And every Sunday, they have their date night. They go to yoga together and then they go to dinner together for 2 years
So nice.
now. Every Sunday,
Wow.
that's their thing.
And that
Yeah. So,
started
like,
from your retreat.
yep, yep. He's never
That's,
done yoga before, ever.
mhm. Yeah.
So
Wow.
now it's their
Yeah,
thing. They do it
husband.
together.
You took yours on your last retreat. Was that the first he's been on?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he actually got to see all the behind the scenes and everything that goes into it.
Oh, yes, he
Did you
did. He
convert
was
him?
so
Is he doing
tired.
Yeah, I bet. And you guys travel, so he's used to it.
Not
But this
really.
is no,
It's
not
different. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's very different, and he couldn't understand that until I made him work on this retreat because holding space for people on a retreat goes far beyond customer service, far beyond just teaching yoga, far beyond all of the things. A retreat is kind of like a sacred space that I create for people. And besides the logistical and operational things like where do I go get new towels or whatever, it's a space for emotional things. It's a space for psychological things. It's a space for physical things. It's a container for all of the things. Like an entire human being, you're in charge of it in a
Mhm,
foreign country. It's a lot of
mhm.
responsibility. And
Like,
I think the reason why I do a lot of these retreats, the reason why I teach all of the retreats on my own now is because I've had partnerships before on which the other retreat facilitator would not take that responsibility seriously.
mm,
And for me, caring for a live human being is the ultimate responsibility.
yeah.
It's only 6 days, but like you said, you went to Costa Rica and you came back transformed. And that is exactly the point. The point is that you're going on the retreat, you're looking for transformation. You're not looking to
Mhm.
come back home worse than you left, right?
Mm. Yeah,
That's the
you're
whole
open to
point.
change. You're open to it.
The
So,
whole
yeah.
point is that you're trusting yourself to another human being to take care of you while you're there, right?
Mhm.
Energetically, physically, psychologically, all the things. And
Yeah.
so to go back to your point of like we travel with my husband a lot, like him and I will travel and we have a very great travel dynamic, but it's still not the same as when you take that responsibility of hosting a retreat for people that are hoping that their lives are going to get better.
Mhm.
It's a big
A
responsibility.
lot
And
riding on it.
yeah, so I put him to work. He did a lot of logistical things for me on this retreat. And thankfully, I really appreciated that because it was a big retreat. It was a lot of people. And Morocco is a very busy country. So it was very unusual structure for a retreat. I normally don't change locations on retreats.
Yeah.
This one, we did change locations. There was a lot of logistics. And he showed up for me and he did a lot of logistical and operational things. And boy, he was wiped out at the end. He was like, "Whoa, I didn't realize how much work you do. I thought you just travel and have fun." I was like, "Mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm."
what it
A lot of
looks
people
like.
do. A lot of
That's
people do.
exactly what it looks like. Well, I think it's fun. It's not so much fun for the person planning it, but
It's
it's
a
fun
different
for
kind of fun.
attending.
Yeah.
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 Did you had repeat clients on the like you've been to Morocco before, like
Yes.
these people who've been with you before that
No.
when no, these were
No.
all new
So
people.
no. So I've been to Morocco before. I didn't have any repeat customers because I've never hosted. This was my first Morocco retreat that I've hosted.
Retreat. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But I had repeat customers in Morocco that had done other retreats with me in the different parts of the
Mhm.
world as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking that that could at least help with the other people who were new to have some seasoned, but you didn't have any of that.
Nope. It was funny because we were going everywhere and people would be like, "So, it's everyone's first time in Morocco?" And I'll be like, "No, not mine." They're like, "Oh, so you're the tour guide, yeah?"
Yeah. Tour guide. That's a good way of putting it. So like so this is your do you have a religion or like this is your spiritual practice, yoga? And
Uh,
what are your thoughts on religion and spirituality?
I believe that I don't need an organized religion or spirituality to guide me to be a good person. So,
Well
I'm
said.
yeah. If I need a book or a church or an institution or someone out there to tell me or, if I need a book to read that will remind me that I need to be a good person and basic human decency is needed, then
Mhm.
I don't believe in that at all.
Yeah. My son and I were having this conversation about the whole self-help genre. I mean, I tend to lean towards self-help because I just felt for years that I was curious. And I just kept feeling for a lot of years that I was kind of behind everyone else. So I felt like I needed to catch up. I felt like there was something other people knew that I didn't know.
Mhm.
Well, he's from a different generation and he's just not about the self help. He doesn't find it useful. Like the self help books and gurus, though I don't consider myself a disciple of anyone, but I do like to hear the messages. I just went to Emma Greed's book tour, her launch in New York. And, that's just not for everyone. So, is that what you're saying? Like, you don't subscribe to the whole self help world?
No, I actually do. Self-help world is great. But if it's religious based, I don't
Hmm.
subscribe. If
Right.
it's institutional based, like,
Mhm.
you know, something that was derived from religion, I don't subscribe. I
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that I need a book or an organized religion to tell me to be a good person.
I know, like, there's a set of doctrines that you don't feel that you need to follow, and then that makes you a good person.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if it's funny actually, I saw a stand-up comedy the other day and this girl, she started talking, I forgot what her name, she's Japanese, she's the funniest stand-up comedian ever. And she goes, "My father-in-law told me that, he reads a Bible to remind him, that stealing and killing is illegal or, against the human moral compass." And she's like,
Mhm.
"Well, if reading that book is the only thing that's preventing you from doing those things, so keep on reading." So that's my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, yeah. And then I think we have bigger problems too if you need to keep reminding yourself that you
Yeah.
should do those things.
Yeah.
So, everything that you were talking about connection and connection to yourself and connection to each other and everything is the ethos of Panier Cadeau. This is like you're speaking my language. So we talked about, I guess you can say, the worst gift you received. Is there a gift that you have ever received that stood out to you? Something that you remember?
Mm.
And it's okay if you don't have one, but just thought I'd ask.
So gifting has always been not difficult for me, but gifts have always been difficult for me to receive. I love giving gifts. And I think when people give gifts to me, a lot of times I didn't feel seen when I was receiving them.
Mm,
And I think you really need to have some kind of either empathy or understanding for the person that you're giving the gift to make them feel seen and appreciated
yeah.
when you're giving a gift, right? And most of the time in my life, I feel like when I receive a gift, it's something that the person thinks that I will like, and it's based on themselves,
What
right? That's
they
kind of
like.
like the psychology behind the gifting.
Hmm.
Um, and when I give gifts, I always try to think of like really put myself into the other person's life and body and see what is it that they're going to really, really like.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I right now, I don't really think I've received a physical gift of like, wow, this is something that I absolutely loved. The one thing
Mm,
we do as a family is we exchange experiences. We don't exchange hard gifts.
yeah.
I've started that tradition many years ago just because I literally don't think I have enough space for physical gifts anymore
Oh,
anywhere.
yeah. Yeah.
Years ago, I was like, I no more tchotchke.
Become a problem too in recent times. Yes.
Yeah, I was like, "No more tchotchke, I don't want it. If I wanted something, I will buy it for myself." And, the experience exchange is what we started, and so my husband and I continue that tradition, obviously, which is why we travel. Instead of buying me a gift, my husband says, "Where are we going for your birthday?" Or instead of buying him a
You already
gift,
know.
I say
Yeah.
yeah, and I say, where are we going for your birthday? Like, I don't know, 2 years ago, I took him to London for his birthday. 2 years ago, he took me to Boston for my birthday. This year, where do we go? Last year, for my birthday, we went to Mallorca. This
Mhm.
year, for his birthday, we kind of worked around and went to Mexico. So, like,
Yeah.
experiences is
Yeah, and
my
you have
love
the
language.
memories. Yeah. You have the memories, you're enriching your individual lives and then your life together and all the good things. I was going to ask you because I know you really love Costa Rica, and I was going to ask you if you have a second favorite, but I think you and I share a love for London.
I love London. Yeah. But I would never move to London unless I had another place that I would split time with
Yeah.
London. Yeah, I don't think
Mhm.
I would live there full time. I actually really we just went to Mexico in January and both of us loved it almost just as much as we loved Costa Rica. And before I met my husband, Costa Rica was always my absolute favorite. And I think Mexico was really close. I think it's
But you've
the
been before.
to Mexico, no.
Oh, this is the first time. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Whole new
And
experience.
yeah, my absolute second favorite is always Morocco. That's the one
Mm.
place that I absolutely love. We just went and we did different experiences from what I did on my own when I went on a solo trip years ago. Even before the retreat, my husband and I explored and we stayed in a different city. And on this particular retreat, I wanted to experience the desert. And we
Mhm.
stayed in a luxury desert camp.
Wow.
It
What
was
an experience.
insane.
Tell me about
Insane.
that.
Candlelit dinners inside a beautiful tent inside a desert, out of this world. And every room, every tent, because it's a luxury experience village, whatever you want to call it, camp.
Mhm.
Each tent has its own shower and its own bathroom and its own stove because the temperatures drop at night. So they set up a fire for you before you go to bed, and then it just like sizzles away while you're sleeping. And in the morning, it's nice and chilly. And it was just such an out of this world experience to just be in that quiet of the desert. And everyone from the group absolutely enjoyed that. And I think my husband and I will go back to that desert camp for just a few days, just the two of us, because
Mhm.
we stayed there for a day and it really wasn't enough to experience the whole thing. And I taught a sunrise yoga class for my students, just overlooking the sunrise in the desert, which was see, like
Wow. You're really selling it. Well, I know you and Ian are foodies. So
mhm,
I know when you travel, that's got to be an element that makes or breaks a place for you. But when you when you fall in love with the place, because Costa Rica is Caribbean, Morocco is, they're all different places. So like what really makes you fall in love with the place and to the point where it becomes your favorite place?
the
What do you look?
people,
Yeah.
the people. The food,
Mhm.
yes, but I think the people is my number one. I don't know how to explain it. I actually forgot to say Crete. Crete is one of my absolute favorite places too. So those
That's
are, I think, my four: Costa Rica, Morocco,
mhm.
Crete, Mexico. Those are, I think, the top list. But I've only been to a few places in the world. The world is so big. I'm not closing that book. I'm going to keep on looking. But people and food, I think, is really like I mentioned. I'm an empath, and it's very important to me how I feel in the
Mhm.
place and who I'm surrounded by. I think those places is where I feel the happiest and the most welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think your frame of reference when you travel to foreign places, because some people travel for work. You're there and you're seeing things through different lens. And then some people, you go on vacation, or like for you, you're hosting your retreat. They're very different lens through which you see these places. When we visit my mom in France, we're not tourists when we visit her. She lives there. We're at her house. We're not at a hotel. The experiences are very different. And I feel like those things shape also your experience and how you view that experience. So I think for you, a lot of the places that you've fallen in love with, you've been to retreats or hosted retreats, and going back to the whole connection piece, there's that experience that is just indescribable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with the mindset. I've also traveled for work into a lot of places, and
Mhm.
I still was able to experience
Mhm.
the magic, even if it was for a work trip. I know it's difficult to explain or understand rather,
Mhm.
but I've always had that wanderlust, and I think even when I traveled for work, I'd always find myself breaking away from the schedule when I could, just so I can experience things on my
Mm.
own and learn something new about the people and the culture and the food. And travel for me isn't just something that like happens.
Yeah.
I fully immerse myself into the trips.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, every person has their own unique experience, and you just approach travel because you love it so much with an open mind. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much, my friend. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, and that we can just talk and talk and talk because there's always so much to talk about. But I love
Always.
able for my community to meet you and to get your perspective on all things travel, lifestyle, yoga, and you're also a dog mom, which I know is very important to you. So there's that. There's an aspect of you I feel like people need to know as well because I have fur babies too. I have my Apollo, our
Mm,
dog, and then you know that I inherited 4 cats from my neighbor across the street who sadly passed away. But I've always loved cats. I grew up just loving cats. I think animal lovers are just special people, and I
yes,
know
we
you love
are.
these. Yeah. So, and I know you must miss them when you travel.
Oh, yeah. That's the hard piece. I think the closer I am to home when I travel, the harder it is because I know that if I just start driving, I can see my kids in 2 hours.
Yeah,
And my husband
exactly.
actually laughs because if we do like a staycation, I'm impossible. Or, something that's close by, I always feel so sad, especially the first night is tough. Um, I I'm just like, why are we here? We could be home with our children.
So you guys were sort of a blended family because Ian came into the relationship with his boy
Yep,
and you had yours.
yep,
So and that's
we
cute.
are.
And now you're just parents to all of them.
Yep, for babies. Yeah, we've been talking about getting another puppy just because, I love dogs so much and he loves dogs too. And
Mhm.
we're just trying to figure out how we can align our schedules in the way where we can facilitate that puppy merging into our family.
Aw, and your guys are a little older now too, right? So it shouldn't be too much of a problem
Yeah,
to have a puppy assimilate because they're probably territorial, but not to the point where they're youthful anymore, so
yeah.
they may not care as much.
Mhm.
Before I let you go, just one last question. And what's one word do you have for the way you want your life to feel?
Girl, you should know me better than having me pick one word. I can't pick favorites like that.
Yeah.
Um, uh, boy, I don't know.
I mean, I would say out of connection comes peace, so maybe.
Maybe, but I
Did
don't
you
think
did you
that's
have a word for this year? You know, everyone does that at the beginning of the year. You pick a word. That's kind of like your word for the year.
I see, I don't like doing that because that puts me in a box, and I don't like being in a box.
Mm.
I
You're
like
like
having
water, you need to flow.
yes, I need and there I think humans are so multidimensional that one word just feels very boxed in for me.
Mhm. Yeah. You don't subscribe to the labels.
Nope. I
Mhm.
think if I were to think of the word right now, I would say exciting, just because that's how I feel when I travel. That's when I plan trips, plan
Mhm.
retreats, plan business opening. That all brings me excitement. So, mhm.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And this is going to be on Instagram and YouTube, but is there any place else people can find you?
Yeah. Um,
Or what's the
can
best
fo
place? Yeah.
You can follow me along on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Ina Visich, and my retreat business is Solaris Wellness Retreats. And just for the fun of it, my new yoga studio, Hot Yoga,
Okay. And where is that located? So we could come
Shoreham,
visit. Sure.
Shoreham, New York. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tag everything. So
Okay.
thank you so much, Ina.
Thank
And
you. Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye.